Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be exploring Earth Exchange. You might know it as EEX. They're aiming to revolutionize the carbon credit market. And we're going to dive deep into how they plan to do it and what it could mean, for investors and the planet.
A hot topic right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, carbon credits have been making headlines left and right. But what caught my eye about EEX is how they're trying to do things differently. I was reading about how they use something called digital ownership tokens, DOTs.
DOTs.
Yeah, have you heard of these?
Yes. They're essentially like a digital certificate of ownership in a specific carbon sequestration project.
Okay. So it's not just like, a vague promise of carbon offsetting, but you're actually investing in something tangible.
Exactly. Like imagine owning a piece of a reforestation project in the Amazon, or maybe a mangrove restoration project in Indonesia.
That's interesting. So instead of just, hoping that someone's somewhere is planting trees, I can actually say, hey, I own a part of that forest.
Yes. And each DOT represents a real asset, and its value is tied to those carbon credits that project generates.
Makes sense. But, the world of carbon credits has had its fair share of, shall we say, trust issues in the past. How does EEX ensure that these DOTs are, the real deal?
That's where blockchain technology comes in. EEX uses blockchain to make sure each DOT is verifiable and traceable.
Blockchain, the technology that everyone's talking about, but few truly understand. But in a nutshell, how does it actually help with transparency in this case?
Well, think about it this way. With blockchain, you can actually track the entire journey of a carbon credit, from the specific tree it came from to, its eventual use in offsetting emissions.
So it's like a digital trail for each carbon credit.
Exactly. No more shady dealings or double counting. Everything's out in the open.
That definitely addresses some of the concerns I had. But, the whole world of blockchain and crypto and digital tokens, it can feel a bit, intimidating, right? EEX talks a lot about making carbon markets accessible. But how are they actually doing that?
Well, for starters, they're offering DOTs at entry-level prices. You don't need to be a Wall Street tycoon to get involved.
That's great to hear. It opens up the opportunity for more people to participate. But let's back up a bit and talk about what happens after you actually purchase a DOT. What can you do with it?
Well, you have a few options. You can hold on to it, hoping that its value increases as the project generates more carbon credits.
So a bit like investing in a company's stock, you're betting on its future success.
Exactly. Or you can choose to stake your DOT.
Stake?
Yeah. Basically means committing your DOT to the project for a certain period of time.
Okay, hold on. Staking. Can you break that down for me a bit further? I'm not sure I fully grasp it.
Sure. So staking is kind of like locking your investment in the project for a set period of time. During that time, your DOT helps to fund the project. And in return, you earn a share of the carbon credits that it generates. They call these carbon-backed digital assets, or CBDAs.
CBDAs. Got it. So it's not just passively waiting for your DOT to increase in value, but actively contributing to the project's success and earning rewards along the way.
Precisely.
And what can you do with these CBDAs? Are they like another type of cryptocurrency?
You can think of them that way. You can hold on to them, or you can exchange them for what EEX calls carbon-backed digital currency. That's CBDC.
So EEX is creating a whole ecosystem, like a mini economy, around these carbon credits. That's pretty ambitious. Speaking of ambitious, I've been reading about some of their existing projects, and they're pretty impressive.
They are. Their project in the Amazon rainforest is massive. It covers like 64,000 hectares.
64,000? Wow.
Yeah. And then there's the Mount Kenya project, which has received endorsements from the UN for its co-benefits.
Co-benefits?
Yeah, it's not just about carbon sequestration. These projects are also designed to have positive social and environmental impacts beyond just reducing emissions.
It's a more holistic approach to sustainability.
Yeah, exactly. And they're also involved in mangrove restoration in Indonesia. That's a project recognized for its positive impact on biodiversity and local communities.
I'm seeing a pattern here. These aren't just random tree planting schemes. They're carefully selected projects with a multi-layered approach. Which brings me to their upcoming project in Guinea. Have you heard about this one?
The one with the potential to remove a staggering 14 million metric tons of CO2 annually? Yeah, it's a game changer.
14 million? That's incredible. What makes this project so special?
Well, for one, it aligns with multiple UN Sustainable Development Goals. It's not just about carbon sequestration. It's also about promoting sustainable livelihoods and protecting biodiversity.
So EEX is weaving together climate action with social and economic progress. It's a compelling story. But let's get down to brass tacks. How do they plan to translate all this good work into financial returns for investors?
That's where things get really interesting. We've talked about how high-quality carbon credits can command a premium price in the market. EEX is banking on that premium to deliver attractive returns to investors. But I think we should unpack those details after a short break. Welcome back to the deep dive. Before the break, we were getting into the nitty-gritty of EEX's financial projections and how they aim to generate those attractive returns for investors.
Yeah, those premium prices for their high-quality carbon credits, but how does that actually translate into real returns for, say, someone who's holding DOT?
Well, let's break it down. Let's start with the current market. Back in 2023, the average market price for carbon credits hovered around like 6.97 cents per ton. But we've talked about those high-quality credits, right? Those can actually fetch a premium of up to 86%.
Okay, so we're talking about a significant price difference depending on the quality of the carbon credit. What kind of premium is EEX expecting to get?
EEX is projecting that by 2025, they'll be able to sell their credits for around 12.97 per ton.
Wow, so almost double the average market price. That's impressive. But what does that mean for someone who invests in, let's say, a DOT for their Amazon rainforest project?
Good question. If you look at their DOT offerings for the Amazon project, even their smallest offering guarantees a minimum reward of 25 metric tons of CO2.
Hold on, let me do the math here. At $12.97 per ton, that's a potential return of over $324,000. And that's just their entry-level offering.
Exactly. Of course, it's important to remember these are projections. The actual returns can vary. Market conditions can change, project performance can fluctuate, but it illustrates the potential earning power of investing in high-quality carbon credit projects.
It definitely highlights the potential. And it seems like EEX is really trying to change the game, right? Showing that sustainability and profitability can actually go hand in hand.
They're calling it a unified global carbon exchange. This platform aims to bridge those gaps between different carbon markets, and it incentivizes both countries and individuals to take part in, climate action.
Instead of viewing environmental protection as a cost, they're presenting it as an opportunity. But, part of me still wonders, is it really possible to put a price tag on something as complex and as vital as our planet? I mean, doesn't that feel a bit, reductive?
It's a valid question. And it leads us to EEX's vision of a monetary Earth standard. It's a concept that has sparked a lot of debate.
Yeah, the monetary Earth standard, it's a big idea. It's assigning a monetary value to every square meter of the planet. How would that even work in practice?
Imagine a world where, a rainforest is valued not just for its timber, but also for its role in regulating rainfall, preventing soil erosion, supporting biodiversity, all those things. That's essentially what the monetary Earth standard is trying to capture.
So instead of just looking at the extractive value of nature, we start recognizing its intrinsic worth.
Precisely. A fundamental shift in how we value and interact with the environment.
A fundamental shift. It sounds great in theory, but how realistic is it to actually implement something like this on a global scale? I mean, it would require a complete overhaul of how we perceive and measure economic value.
It's a big challenge, no doubt. There are many complexities involved. But the fact that organizations like EEX are putting forward this vision suggests that there's a growing recognition that our current economic models are flawed. They don't account for the true value of nature.
It's definitely a bold vision, and it raises a lot of questions. What stands out to you as the most potentially impactful aspect of EEX's approach? Is it their project selection, the use of blockchain, or this vision of a monetary Earth standard?
It's difficult to single out just one aspect. I think their potential impact comes from the combination of all these factors. They're not just creating a platform to trade carbon credits. They're building an entire ecosystem that links investors to those tangible projects. They're using technology to guarantee transparency and accountability. And they're pushing for a broader change in how we value the planet.
It's a multi-pronged approach with the potential for real change. But I'm also curious about the timing. Why now? What makes this the right moment for a platform like EEX to emerge?
That's a great point. Several factors make this a particularly opportune time for their model. First, there's a growing sense of urgency around the climate crisis. Governments are getting serious. We're seeing stricter regulations, ambitious emission reduction targets.
So the demand for carbon credits is only going to increase, especially as companies and countries are held more accountable for their environmental impact.
Right. And EEX is perfectly positioned to capitalize on that demand. They've also been smart about utilizing those advancements in blockchain technology. It's playing a vital role in improving transparency and building trust in carbon markets.
It sounds like they're riding that wave of regulatory pressure and technological advancement. But let's talk about the actual process of investing. How does someone actually get involved with EEX?
It's pretty straightforward. The first thing is you need to connect your digital wallet. Make sure it's compatible with the Polygon network and has enough USDT to cover your investment. But EEX supports a bunch of different wallets, so you have options.
Okay, so step one is making sure you have those digital tools in place. What's next?
Then you just choose the DOT tier that matches your investment goals. They offer various tiers, so you can choose the level of commitment that suits your needs.
So you can test the waters with a smaller investment, or you can dive right in. What happens after you've chosen your tier?
Once you've selected your tier, you approve the transaction in your wallet. Click Mint and confirm the purchase. And that's it. You're now a DOT owner.
It sounds surprisingly simple, but I'm guessing the journey doesn't end there.
Not quite. The next step is staking your DOT. That's where things get really interesting.
Taking, right. You mentioned that earlier, but can you break it down for me? Like, I'm 5 years old again.
Sure. Think of staking as like planting a seed. You're committing your DOT to a project for a set period, and during that time, your DOT helps fund that project's operations, and you earn rewards. Those are the carbon-backed digital assets, the CBDAs we talked about.
So it's like your DOT is actually working for you, contributing to something real.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that once you stake your GOT, it's locked in for the duration of the contract.
So it's a commitment, but potentially a very rewarding one, both financially and environmentally.
Precisely. EEX is offering more than just an investment opportunity, right? They're presenting this vision of a future where our economic systems recognize and value nature.
It's an inspiring vision, for sure. But as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm wondering about the implications of EEX's model for the broader sustainability movement. What does the success of a platform like this signal about the future of sustainable finance?
It's a fascinating question, and one we should definitely explore further.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been on quite a journey exploring the world of Earth Exchange. And as we wrap up, I'd love to get your perspective on the larger implications of their model. What does the emergence of a platform like EEX tell us about the future of sustainable finance?
It's a signal that the market is recognizing the potential of aligning profit with purpose. I think EEX's model shows that it's possible to create a system that incentivizes environmental stewardship and is also financially viable.
It's like they're flipping the script on its head, right?
Yeah.
For so long, it seemed like we had to choose between financial gains and environmental responsibility. But EEX is proving that we can do both.
Exactly. And their approach of connecting the value of their DOTs to those real-world projects, well, it creates a level of transparency and accountability that's been missing in the carbon market for a long time. It's about investing in solutions, not just offsetting emissions.
It's refreshing to see a company putting their money where your mouth is, so to speak. And given the urgency of the climate crisis, platforms like EEX couldn't come at a better time.
You're absolutely right. We need innovative solutions, and we need them now. EEX is demonstrating that we can protect and restore our planet while also creating economic opportunities. It's a win-win.
A win-win for sure. And it goes back to that idea of a paradigm shift, right? Moving away from that purely extractive mindset and embracing a more regenerative approach.
Precisely. And EEX is proving that this shift can be profitable.
Profitable and impactful. That's a powerful combination. But before we wrap up our deep dive, I want to circle back to their vision of a monetary Earth standard. It's such a bold idea, and it really makes you think differently about our relationship with nature.
It challenges us to rethink how we value the planet, to see beyond the purely economic and recognize the inherent worth of nature.
It suggests a future where a rainforest is valued not just for the timber it can provide, but for its role in regulating our climate and supporting life as we know it.
Exactly.
But how realistic is it to implement such a standard on a global scale? I mean, it would require a fundamental shift in how we perceive and measure value.
It would. It's a massive undertaking, no doubt about it. But the fact that organizations like EEX are even proposing these ideas is a sign that the conversation is shifting. There's a growing awareness that our current systems are inadequate.
It's a conversation we need to have, and EEX is helping to facilitate that conversation. They're offering a potential pathway to a more sustainable future, and that's something worth exploring. Well, this deep dive into Earth Exchange has been an incredible journey. I've learned so much, and I hope our listeners have too. It's clear that EEX is pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the world of sustainable finance, and they're demonstrating that we can create a future where both people and the planet can thrive. So keep diving deep, stay curious, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to uncover the next big innovation that helps us create a more sustainable future. Until next time, fellow deep divers, keep exploring.